Morning, everyone, and welcome to another one of our webinars on COVID-19 and the impacts it's having on the business and general community. My name's Michael Osborne, and joined today with Tim McCarthy. And what are we up to today, Tim? We've got Thursday, the 7th of May.
It's getting away from us, isn't it?
It is indeed, and fair to say that we might do something a little bit different this morning. Again, we've been very technical in the past as much as we can be. But today, we're going to look at what we've been seeing over the last 6 to 7 weeks. I think it's about that one, a bit like Groundhog Day, but 6 to 7 weeks of assisting small business. And we've seen quite a diverse range of impacts, if you like. Some of the businesses we're helping have had to go straight into survival mode. And they're the ones that have basically been shut down from day one. Others have gone into maybe preservation mode. It's not so bad, but they just need to make sure they preserve their team, their cash and their business. And others have been able to trade along okay at the moment, haven't been impacted by COVID-19 yet, but have been able to change up their model, I suppose, buzzword being pivot these days, but change their business model to adapt. So we've seen a little bit of each, and we're going to go through today and have a look at a couple of examples of what businesses have been doing. But it's fair to say that a lot of the businesses have been able to adapt quickly, have been able to utilize some of the things we've been talking about for the last 10, 20 years. And we'll go through some of those later on. The legal stuff. Again, we're talking very general and broad here today. As we found with JobKeeper, every case is individual. We have to look at your case, your business in isolation. So please don't take this as being the gospel and rush out and do stuff. Talk to your accountant. Okay, legal stuff out of the way. What we're going to go through today, a little bit different in that what we're finding is that the foundations of your business have never been more important. Those strong foundations that we talk about. And those things are very strong strategic plans and clear direction, not only from the leaders of that business, but also passing that down to the team members. And that's done obviously via the business structure, the 10 hats structures that we talk about, where the roles and responsibilities of the team members are very clear, really important in this day and age. We've also seen that part of having a strong foundation, you've got to know your numbers, really important. As we've said before, it's not so much just your sales numbers and your overhead numbers and your cost of sales, those numbers. I'm talking about the numbers that drive your business, the critical drivers. The number of phone calls you have to make, the number of conversions, what's your average dollar sale, those numbers. What if I have to tweak and pivot and change a little bit? How is that going to impact my bottom line? How does JobKeeper and the various other, how do those stimulus packages impact my bottom line? You must know your numbers. And of course, that's via cash flow budget. And I'm talking about not a profit and loss budget, because you can't pay your loans and your team with profit. It's got to be cash. So knowing your numbers is critical. And on that, Tim, I don't know if you've got anything to add, but I've just noticed there that, we see quite a few businesses come along and say, that's all right, I'm just upgrading my website, or I'm getting my website going online. Wow, that's just one piece of the puzzle. I heard someone say to me once that a website is like a billboard. But if your billboard is out in the middle of the desert, who's going to see it? So yes, online is one answer, but you've got to get your billboard next to the Hume Highway and have traffic driving to your website or your other online strategic initiatives. So anything else that you want to add on that, Tim, about what you've seen in terms of the foundations?
Could not agree more. I think we've seen a lot of people say, I'll push online as being the solution. It's part of the marketing hat of the business. So the examples we'll see later on, that hat has actually been used. Online's a great piece of the puzzle. That's just one of them. And the ones that we've seen have most success have been the ones who did definitely know the numbers, but they also have had a clear overall direction of their business. doesn't necessarily mean that they're going exactly the path they thought they'd go. So it's a bit like if you're heading to Albury, you get diverted off the freeway, you can still get there. They still know their overall destination. I think that's been a really key critical point for those that have that long-term vision. Yeah, it's a serious bump in the road, and for some people, it's more than a bump. It's a crater in the road. Let's not kid ourselves. This is not everyone, but it is in reality for some. They've taken it out and say, okay, what can I do to change my business in a way that still keeps me heading towards that direction that I want to end up in?
A great point, and that probably brings into what we're talking about next, in that I'm not quite sure if it's Charles Darwin, but he's been attributed with this, saying that it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the ones that are most adaptable to change. And so your business has got to have clarity and be nimble enough to be able to innovate and change along the way. Sacred cows, just because we've done things a certain way, we're finding that in our own business. So we're just telling it as it is. It might not be the way you're going to be doing business in the future. And Tim actually is going to touch on that in one of the examples in a minute. You can see to the right there, we call that the law of results. Anyone who's been to any of our sessions before know that we live by this law of results. Decisions multiplied by actions get you results. As business owners and as people, we make hundreds of decisions a day, but there are no results unless you take action. So taking consistent action is critical. And again, you've probably heard me say it before. Who are most likely to break a promise to and not take action? It's generally ourselves. We'll come up with the best excuses as to why we didn't do something and give us, let ourselves off the hook. So therefore, having some accountability around implementing those actions is really critical. Decisions multiplied by actions equals results, and the accountants in us love the fact that if actions there equals zero, anything multiplied by zero gets you no results. So that's what we've seen. I don't know if you want to add anything, Tim, before we move into a couple of examples of businesses that have been able to do this.
Yeah, I think probably that action key is the big one. We've had heaps and heaps of really good ideas from clients. Ideas are endless, and they're fantastic ideas. But the ones that have been successful have been the ones that have been implemented. That's the fundamental difference. So I love the fact that people are innovating, and I love the idea that people are saying, we're not, just because we've always done it this way, we're not going, it doesn't mean it's right. If actual fact, if the question is, why do we do it this way? And the answer is because we've always done it, that's the worst answer. That's a sign that something's not right.
Yeah,
that's that action that's been the difference, hasn't it, really?
Absolutely. And to be honest, we had to put our egos in the bottom drawer about 10 or 12 years ago. And we're saying, well, we don't need anyone to be able to hold us to account to make sure we make things happen. Well, guess what? We did. And so we parked our egos, got ourselves an accountability coach, if you like, or person just to sit on our shoulder and make sure we got stuff done. So please don't let that hold you back. In actual fact, that's a sign of strength and strong leadership if you're actually doing that sort of thing. So let's get into some of these case studies that I think are quite fascinating, actually. So Tim, I'll pass that over to you to go through that.
Yeah, so we're going to go through two case studies, and one's being a nimble small business, and the other one's larger, more robust business. And I guess the reason we chose these two examples was because they are at different ends of the spectrum, and what they can allow us to do is to see that there are some commonalities between businesses who are actually implementing changes, but also there's also nuances where each business is slightly different, and so therefore it's not a formula. It's not A, B, C. It's about using a framework and then coming up with a solution. A bit like a car, I guess, in that all on a similar chassis, but what does come from the similar chassis is that we end up having different looking cars all the time. So this first example is a business, actually, it's a local business, a mini maestros program over in the Western Ranges. And single proprietor, and the target market is under fives for a music program for those who have never heard of mini maestros. Well, if you've got young children, they love it. The big sacred cow that they had in their business model is we only provide one-to-one face face interaction. This is how we do it. This is the best way to learn music. We only do this way because this is only the best. What they've actually realized is that, well, the reality is they can't do that now. That just was not eligible, not possible. So do we shut the business down or do we adapt? And they've actually used online. So online is a key part of this. They've used online to deliver the service, but that's how they've continued to deliver to existing clients. What they've actually gone and done from a marketing perspective is they use this online service to promote to their client base to say, can you bring in other people to our business? So we'll reward you for referrals. If you actually refer someone to us, we'll give you something extra. If you reward, and actually not giving away discounts, they're giving extra services. So they're actually widening their market significantly. And in actual fact, what they're finding is the future of them now looks like a complete new online service offering, which is complementary to the one-on-one face-to-face methodology, allows massive cross-sell, upsell opportunities for them. And the big one for them is traditionally they've been limited as to how many students they can serve. Well, now in actual fact, because of the online systems, they can actually conserve many, many more students. It's actually probably endless how many they can serve, and they can serve them in a different way. So what they're going to come out of here is a business that still has a foundation of providing great music learning and instructional programs, and they still do truly believe the one-on-one face-to-face is the best way to do it. But what they're saying now is it's not the only way to do it, and maybe there's a sales funnel which actually help you start with online and funnel into more bespoke type of services. So that's an interesting one, Michael. I don't know.
Yeah, it's and when you were talking to me about this one, Tim, I love the fact that initially it was okay. Well, now our revenue could drop, but when they've actually looked at it and they understood the numbers and full credit, and they delved into their numbers with your assistance, it actually worked out much better for them as a business, but it also worked out much better for their customers, their clients as well, because they're able to serve more. And I'm quite sure there's some people who are cooped up at home who their 5-year-olds would love the fact that they can now get some extra assistance in looking after them. So yeah.
Absolutely. I know our own family here that our middle daughter, she's now doing dance classes online, and it's been a fantastic, great hour for us because she loves it and we love it.
Yeah, and I love the fact that choice was either close up or hey, hang on, innovate and adapt. Beautiful.
Yep, that's what they did. So the next one I wanted to talk about was a different end of the spectrum, a more robust, larger business. Now, I'm not going to call it a large business, but it's a larger business. And this example was an accommodation facility. It has about 60 rooms available, 11 employees, including a couple of them being casuals, so cleaning up. The target market has traditionally been golf groups and families. So they've got proximities near a golf course, and so therefore, if they can get people coming for the golfing groups and families for a getaway, it's a perfect place. They've actually, I didn't talk so much about this one about sacred cows, but the challenges they've faced. You can imagine an accommodation. They're just not allowed to have people coming in and out of the facility. It's very, very simple. So they actually had some false starts. They were really innovative. They went and they actually spoke to some sporting organisations about could they become a hub. Now, this is all over the place. Hubs are everywhere, or high performance centres, whatever we want to call them. But they spoke to sporting organisations, and they actually thought they were going to get one over the line, and it turned out to be a false start. So that didn't happen. They didn't give up. They went and spoke to other people about could they become a quarantine centre, because obviously there's been those discussions around how do we deal with people that are coming into and out of the states, and that was put up but knocked back as well. So rather than give up again, okay, what can we do? And they decided to use this time now to actually change the way their business is going to look whenever this period comes out, because most likely will come out of this sometime in spring. There'll be some lifting of restrictions, and they're thinking, okay, how's this going to look for us post-spring through summer and into next year? So taking some time to go and deal with the banks and on some numbers. They've deferred some payments on their loans, and with additional cash, they're using that to upgrade the facilities that are in need of action. Some of those jobs that we love to get to one day, we'll get to that one day. Now they're actually doing those. they've actually also used the time to redevelop their business plan and create new marketing and sales channels. Now, that's all nice talk, marketing and sales channels. What does it mean? Is they've rang people who they normally wouldn't ring. They've spoken, they've organised online meetings with people who they normally wouldn't speak to. They've just taken it, had a go. They've just tried to find new people who they may be able to partner with. And their business plan hasn't changed the strategic direction of their plan, but what they've actually adapted within the plan is some new tactics and some new targets. So they've used this time to be really strategic about their business. So what's it look like in the future? Now they're going to have improved facilities. Importantly, then, come back to the numbers, they're going to have a higher average revenue per client, because with the improved facilities, there's going to be the opportunity for people while they're on site to be able to buy this or buy that. Inevitably, if you're there with your family, what do you do on holidays? Oh, what's an extra $10 here? What's an extra $20 there? If there's a zero cost to that, it's a great way to increase their sustainable revenue. They've got wider lead generation. So they've got more people funneling, again, the sales funnel, more people funneling people into their sales, and therefore they expect their accommodation numbers, their percentage, will go up significantly. And they've got this business direction and succession plan. That was part of the whole situation, was they actually looked through succession. What does their succession plan look like in their business? So they've taken a different view to the small business, and yet the same way they've been innovative and they've adapted to the situation a lot.
I love the way they've actually gone through all this. They would have gone through survival mode to start with. What the hell's going to happen? Because golfing and families obviously can't go anywhere. Then through to preservation mode. But now they're going, no, hang on, let's actually get ahead of the game, so that when we do come out, as you say, whenever we do come out on the other side, they're going to be one step ahead. They've positioned themselves already, rather than waiting to come out to position themselves.
Yeah, really using their time well. And I think it probably summarises the idea of how does a business owner use this time and get their head. It's really hard, I suppose, at the moment too, for initially, it's all this stuff coming at you. How do you get your head above the trees? How do you see the forest rather than the trees?
And from experience, Tim, you and I both know that. How do you see that? It's by talking to people. It's by using a sounding board, just thrashing it out. All of a sudden, it will come up. It's just having that person, because being in business can be a lonely place. So you need that ability to bounce ideas off people and hold you to account. And I'll just re-emphasize, it's not the strongest nor the most intelligent. It's the most adaptable to change that will be the most successful coming out the other side. So thank you for going through those examples, Tim. I'm sure that our listeners will have got a lot out of that. There's our details if you'd like to talk to us about anything we've spoken about, even going back to the YouTube channel and having a look at some of the sessions we've put together in the past would be a good idea for everyone. But love to hear from your stories. Actually, if you're listening and you've got a great story, please tell us, because we learn from that as well. So once again, thank you for listening. Have a great day, and we'll probably be talking to you same time next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Michael.